Good morning and welcome to this week's webinar. My name is Christiana Holmes and I'm with the Engineering CAD Systems Office. And this morning we're going to be discussing the Design Apps menu in SS4. And if you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the question portion of the dialogue and either I or my co-workers will get them answered. The topics we're going to cover in this webinar are the different menu options and the tools under those options for the Design Apps menu. And that includes the cleanup tools, custom line styles, drawing tools, GEOPAK VBAs, miscellaneous design tools, reference file tools, revision tools, and some text tools. First are the various cleanup tools, which include design file cleanup, delete short lines, fixed range of elements, remove GEOPAK attributes, the RSC-UPF Cleanup tool, Verify and Repair DGN, and Verify DGN. So let's get into MicroStation. And first I want to say on the menu, the Design Apps menu comes standard with every menu, so you don't have to add it through the FDOT menu configuration. It will be available no matter what configuration you have set up here. So first on the cleanup tools is the design file cleanup, and this tool can be very useful when you're trying to clean up your plans and make sure you don't have duplicate elements, overlapping elements, or gaps between elements. There's 4 different tabs: general, duplicates, overlaps, and gaps. And on the general tab are the settings for the types of things you want to clean up. So first you set the view that you want to process. It has views 1 through 8. Then you can toggle on the create a backup of your file. If you wanted to create a backup, you can clean up contents inside of a fence area or outside of a fence area if you had a fence turned on. You can toggle on to place flags in the file, which are these little markers that get placed every time one of the instances is found. And then the flag size can be set here as well. And then at the bottom of the dialog, there's an overview or description of what each cleanup action is. So it says duplicate is when 2 or more elements of the same type share the same location and geometry. Overlap is when 2 elements partially overlap one another, and gap is when an element has an endpoint too far from another element. Then on the right side of the dialog are the different cleanup actions and what you want to do with the different actions. And I'll explain each of these options as I go through the different tabs. For the duplicates tab, under the duplicates tab you have 2 actions other than none, and that is delete or select. Delete will delete any duplicates it finds in the file, and select will create a selection set of the duplicates it finds. So I'm just going to click select here. The next thing you want to set is the element types. It will search for, so you can search for all types of elements in your file. You can search for just arcs or just cells or just lines that may be duplicated. Then you want to select what attributes of the element you want to match. So do you want to find elements that are on the same level, or do you want to find elements that are on the same level and color, or just color? You can select multiple here or just one. I'm going to just leave it at level and then just click apply. And when you do, it'll say down here that the cleanup is finished, and it says the duplicates equals 22, and that and over here it shows you that it's selected 11 of those. And then if you just kind of zoom out, you'll see where there's duplicate line works, then there's a selection set. And then you can either move this or delete it. I'm just going to delete it. And then that leaves the other elements underneath. And then if I was to select delete here, it would have just automatically deleted the elements instead of creating a selection set. Now the overlaps tab under the actions, you have select, flag, and interactive. And the select action will again create a selection set of any elements that overlap according to the settings that we have set. And here again you can select the different types of elements that you want. You can select them all, or you could just select like arcs and lines and line strings. It's just up to you what you're trying to accomplish. And then up at the top part of this dialog is the overlap flag symbology, and this is the symbology that will get set if you have the flag or interactive option selected, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then this is the what do you want to match? Do you want to match the level, color, style, weight again? And then you have the overlap tolerance, and this is the tolerance of how far lines are overlapping. And then you can ignore duplicates if you want. So if you just hit apply, it'll select the lines that overlap. And then if you had one of the other options selected, such as flag, it would use this symbology to show the flags in the design file. So I'm going to change that to flag and then click apply. And if I zoom in, it's going to place this little marker in the design file and show me where things overlap. And then interactive is this little menu that pops up that shows you, that points to all the areas where things are overlapping, and you can just go through and search your file and then click finish when you're done. The gap option works the same as the overlap. You can't have overlaps and gaps running at the same time. That's why the actions was grayed out. But you have select, flag, and interactive under gaps as well. The only thing that's different is the tolerance is for the gap, not for overlapping elements. The next tool under the cleanup menu is delete short lines. And that brings up this little dialog that allows you to enter a value of lines, and then you can delete lines that are smaller than that. So if I had lines like 0.1 and then hit enter or click on delete lines, it's going to say there are 15 short line elements deleted, and then I just click OK, and that just cleans up any just lines that got placed in your file that may not need to be there or you may not want there. And then next on the list is fix range of elements, and this tool is useful if your file has gotten out of the design file plane, and that can give you a lot of issues. So you would just run this, and then the range of elements in your design file would be reset. Let's go into another file. Next on the list is remove GEOPAK attributes. And this is a little dialog that allows you to remove the ad hoc attributes and data linkages from elements in the design file. So from the dialog, you have different methods here. You can do individual element, all in the active model, in view 1, the offense, or a selection set. So if we just bring up DNC Manager and ID this line, it's going to tell me that it's an edge of pavement. If I wanted to remove those attributes, I could use this tool. And if I go ID it again, there it's broken. Next on the cleanup is the RSC and UPF cleanup tool. This tool has 3 applications, and that's used to clean up unnecessary files that can become corrupt when working within MicroStation and GEOPAK. First is this cleanup GEOPAK resources. This deletes the resource files or RSC files, and those are in your FDOTSS4 temp GEOPAK resource folder. And if you click this button, it'll say GEOPAK resource files successfully cleaned. So all of those files got deleted that are in that folder, all of the resource files. And your GEOPAK resource files can cause several problems with your GEOPAK tool. So this is one of the first things you want to do if you're having some issues with GEOPAK not running correctly or just some weird things happening. The next is cleanup MS Station UPF, and this is in your CSS4 workspace prefs folder. This file can also get corrupt. Now this is your preference file, so this is where all of your preferences are stored. that get set up here. So if you have some things that you want to save, keep in mind that when you delete this file, all of those are going to be reset. So just be aware of that. The next is the cleanup resources and UPF. So you can do both at the same time and not have to do one or the other. And then exit obviously closes the application. And the last two are Verify and Repair DGN and Verify DGN. These two options check for defects in an active design file and then show those in the MicroStation message manager. So if I just click one and run the Verify DGN on this file, it's going to run, and then if you scroll down, you'll see all of the errors that it found. And then if you run the Verify and Repair DGN, that will do the same thing, check for those defects in the design file, and then it'll take it a step further and correct the problems that can be corrected. Next on the list are custom line style tools. There are 3 tools under this menu: clear embedded line styles, flip custom line styles, and set custom line style to a scale of 1. The clear embedded line style tool replaces old or embedded line styles with the updated new line styles. And this app automatically replaces the active design file with a new file from a seed file. The steps that this tool does is shown here. So basically what happens is the active design file is saved to a backup design file with the same file name but with a .old extension. A new design file is created using a fresh seed file, and then the 2 files are merged together. One thing I do want to note is this tool should not be used on any files that have civil data. So just keep that in mind. The other 2 tools, let's get back into MicroStation and I'll show you how those work. So next up is Flip Custom Line Styles, and that brings up this little dialog, and you can do more than that. You can mirror cells from this as well, but for the line styles portion of it, I'll just show you how that works. So say you wanted to flip this around because it's upside down in your plan view, this sanitary line. You would just select the element and data point, and then it flips it upside down. And then you can set it by, you can define an active angle of how you want to flip it, or you can set an active angle here if you want to flip it at a specific angle. Next is set the custom line style scale to 1. This tool automatically sets all of the custom line styles in a file to a scale of 1. And this was needed when migrating from the use of the global line style scale to annotation scale. Prior to SS2, we were using global line style scales to scale the line styles up and down. Now the line styles use annotation scale. And sometimes when you migrate, and I'll kind of show you in this file, I have some big lines out here. Sometimes when you migrate to annotation scale, your line styles will become really large or be really small. And that's because the scale of the line style is set to 50 or 40. And when you're using annotation scale, all of your line styles need to be set to a scale of 1. So to fix that, you just run this little app, and then it sets all of them to a scale of 1. And then you can use the annotation scale to change if you want them bigger or smaller. The next menu is the drawing tools. And under the drawing menu, there are 2 apps: Build Pipes in Profile and Draw Slopes. So let's go back into MicroStation. I'm going to get into a profile. So I already have one pipe built, so I'm going to build another one here. So the first tool is Build Pipes in Profile. This tool is a little dated, but there could be some uses for it if you have some older plans or if you're just trying to build some pipes really quick. The dialog is split into 3 different sections. The top portion is the pipe settings, which sets the size and scale of the pipe. The middle section is the flow arrow settings, which sets the size of the flow arrow and allows you to place it. And the bottom portion is the label settings, which allows you to set the Terminator, add a suffix, and then place the text. All right, so let's build a pipe. So I'm going to set the diameter to 18 inch or 24 inch. We'll try that. And then I'm going to leave the vertical scale and horizontal scale at 50 and 5, and I'm going to leave end caps to both. You can select none, left or right if you wanted to. And then there's several different scale options in here as well. So you just click Build Pipe, and then down here at the bottom it's going to say select the pipeline, invert, or reset. So first you have to have a line to build the pipe from. So I'm just going to use this line, and then I select it and data point, and it places the top of the pipe plus the end caps. Next I'm going to place the flow arrow. So you want to make sure that you have the scale set. 2.5 seems to be good for this scale. And then I'm going to select this set active angle, and it's going to ask me to select a pipe element or to set an active angle. So if I just select the line, it'll set the angle to that line. And then just click Place Flow Arrow, and you can come in here and place it in the middle of your pipe. Alright, next we're going to label the pipe. So I'm going to set the label suffix to pipe so that when my label shows up it'll say 24 inch pipe. And then I'm going to click on the Set Text button, and that's going to allow me to set a text style. So it already has FDOT small. I'm going to just stay with that. And then you want to set your Terminator. I'm going to leave that as the cell, and then the scale of that. And then you just click Label Pipe, and it places your 24 inch pipe. And then you can place arrows in your pipe as well. Also under Draw are the Draw Slope options. This application simply just places a line, a microstation line at the selected slope. So you just click on what slope you want, and then it draws a line at that slope or that angle. Next are the GEOPAK VBAs, and a lot of these are legacy tools and may not be used a lot in the future, but some of them could still be useful for older projects or for plans development. So I'm just going to go through each group and then describe the tools that are available. So we have COGO VBAs, we have cross-section tools, GEOPAK Adhoc tools, GEOPAK draw tools, and some labeling tools. Under the COGO VBAs, we have Get Intersection, Alignment, Station, and Elevation. This tool does exactly that. It will give you the station and elevation where two alignments or chains intersect. So in Profile View, you would select the profile cell and then select an intersecting chain and profile and get the station and elevation of where those intersect. Next is Identify COGO Element. This tool allows you to identify a chain or a point that may be in a specific GPK from within the DGN. Merge two GPK files. This tool can merge all types of elements from one GPK into another. You can merge points, lines, curves, chains, profiles, and so on. Save DP to file or COGO. This tool allows you to place data points in a design file and then save those points out to a specific file such as a text file or a CSV file, and then you can also store those points into COGO dynamically. Store a profile from survey points. This VBA creates a profile from survey points or from a TIN file, and it allows you to store that profile with the name into your GPK. VBA DP Station Offset. This tool allows you to place or add a data point to a chain that is already in a GPK file at a specific station offset. Next are the cross-section VBAs. There's two under here. First is Review Cross-Sections in Animation. This tool navigates through cross-sections at a set frame rate. This tool will work with cross-sections created with the new Civil tools if they have the cross-section cell. Store chain from cross-section cells. This tool allows you to create a chain and save it to a GPK file from cross-section cells in a cross-section file. This tool will also work with the cross-sections created with Civil Tools as long as there's a cell. Next are the GEOPAK Adhoc VBAs. The first one is Assign GEOPAK Adhocs. This tool allows you to manually assign GEOPAK Adhoc attributes to a selection set of elements. Next is Remove GEOPAK Attributes in Adhocs. This allows you to remove GEOPAK data such as D and C attributes, COGO attributes, and Adhoc attributes from elements within a DGN file, kind of like the tool that I showed you earlier. And then Sync MS Elements with DDB synchronizes a selected design file with the current DDB or with a specified DDB. GEOPAK Draw VBAs, there's two tools under here. The first is Draw Cells Along Chain. This tool is similar to the GEOPAK Draw Cell Group by Feature tool. It allows you to place cells along an alignment or GEOPAK chain at a specific station range, at a set offset, and a set rotation. And the Draw Curve Widening draws widenings for curves based on a shape input file and then specific sets parameters. And lastly, there are the GEOPAK Labeling VBAs. Label elevations at chain intersections, labels the elevations in a profile view where two GEOPAK chains or alignments intersect. Label elevations from tin, labels the elevations from a tin file in a plan view. It can label proposed and existing tin elevations as well as the elevation difference between the two. Label elevations on profile sheet limits. This labels the elevations on a profile at the edges of each sheet border, and those borders can be set within that preferences option. Label profile elevations. That places elevation labels along a profile at specific spacing or increments. Label profile information. This tool labels the information about a profile, such as the summit points and station equations. And then label station equation and profile also label station equations in a specified profile or portion of the profile. Next on the list are the miscellaneous design tools. There are three different tools under here. There's area tools, calculate longest triangle, and the cross-section element lock tool. So let's go back into MicroStation and open up so first up is the area tools, and this will open up a toolbox with 4 different tools on it. You have measure area, place area with text, calculate area, and then the parameter settings. So first we have the measure area tool. And then first you want to set the method, like how you want to calculate the area or grab the area. So you have different options under here: element, flood, union, intersection, difference, and points. And then you can type in a prefix or a suffix. So if you wanted to say area equals, you would just set that here. You could type it in, and then you just go out and select the shape. And see how my text is really small? That's because it's based on the text that is set in my file. So if I change that to 0.07 and try this again. Now it's big. And you can just place the text in there. Also, the settings and prefixes and suffixes can be set in this parameter settings, which is the one at the end. So you can set the level here and the color and the weight, and then you can also set the text style, and then there's some other things: graphic group text and elements, so you can make it into a graphic group, and then you can make it place it automatically at the center every time. Also, the tolerance can be set up here, and the decimal accuracy. So if I want to just be 0, I can change that. And then you can set up some prefixes and suffixes. So if I wanted my prefix to always be area equals, I can add that. And then let's see, square feet. or square feet. And then once that's set up, when you go back, you can select it from inside this dialog. The next is the place area with text tool. So this, you can see it's picked up the prefix and suffix from my parameters. And this tool, you have two different methods. You have block or shape. And basically, it allows you to place a shape with the area dynamically. And then the third tool is calculate area. And this is like a calculator that allows you to calculate the areas of multiple shapes. So you can add areas together, which is the plus button. So if I wanted to add two areas together, and then you can see that those turn green, and then I want to minus an area, and that one will turn red, and then you can see that there's like a running total of the area here. You can place the text once you get finished, or you can clear it, start it back at 0. And the next tool is the calculate longest triangle, and I need to be in a file that has triangles in it, so I'm going to get out of this one and get into a different file. And you have to have GEOPAK loaded to run this tool. So basically what it does is it goes out and finds the longest triangle length. That's so that you can create a 10 file from a DAT file using that side length, and you don't have to guesstimate at what the longest side length is. Okay, so then it once it's finished, it opens up the DTM Build Triangles tool, and it shows you the side lengths that it's calculated in here. This can be done also if you're using the new tools. Let me go back into this file, and you have a new terrain boundary. You could do it kind of similar. You can change the maximum length here in the properties. So if you knew it was like around 100 or 110, you could change it here, and it would update your boundary. The next is a cross-section element lock tool, and we have to be in a cross-section file for that. So let's go open a cross-section file. This is the cross-section lock tool, and it locks and unlocks elements on different cross-section levels. So you select the box to the left if you want to lock the specific types of levels, and then right if you want to unlock them. There's a couple questions out here also. One is merge GPK. What happens if there are conflicting point names? I think there's options on that dialog, and I'm looking at it right now, that ask you before redefining elements. So you can have it redefine elements for the GPK that you're merging to, or you can have it ask you before it just changes the elements. What happens when you click the lock, it will turn red and let you know that those elements are locked. And if I was to go and ID this element, it will show me that it is locked. So if you want to unlock those, you would just click this button, and that button will turn green, showing that those are unlocked. And you can do that for all the different options here. And this is a cross-section file that was created with the Civil tools, so it does work with those as well. Next on the list are the reference file tools, and there's several tools under here. We have copy reference files, attach external reference files, batch attach reference files, the Reference-Raster cleanup utility, reference file tools, and display all or no reference files. So let's get back into MicroStation and open up a file that has some references. So the first tool is this copy reference file levels. And this is a rather new tool. It was developed to help with the new existing features process, and it can be useful in other applications as well. When you see the dialog, you can import level settings from a file that you've already created. You can save that out. First you have the reference file, and then the levels that are in that reference file. A reference file and model, I should say. So I have 4 reference files, and it shows me all 4 of them. So if I wanted to copy the copy levels from these reference files into this file, I would just select the ones that I want to copy over and then add them to this list. and then click Process. And then if I go look, I can see now that those levels were copied into that design file. Next is attach external reference files, and this application allows you to attach reference files that are outside of your project directory. So if you wanted to attach a file that was outside, if I wanted to attach a file that was outside of this CE webinars project, I could use this tool. There's some setup with the config variables that have to be done, and all of that is explained in the help file for this. All of these little question marks are help files for all of these tools. So if you can't figure out how to use something, or you need to know some more information about one of the tools, you can just click on this little question mark and it'll bring up the help file. And then you can just click on the links and I'll show you all the different things you need to know about the tool. Next is the Batch Attach Reference Files tool. And this utility allows you to attach multiple reference files that match a specific clip area of an existing reference file. So first you have to select the folder you want to find the reference file in. So if I wanted to find files in my whole project directory, I could just select the project folder and then toggle on this Include Subfolders. And that will show me all of the files in those folders. And then from this Files in Folder box here, that's where you want to select the files that you want to process. So if I wanted to attach a reference file to, let's say, this file, my drainage file, and my alignment file, I can select multiple files here using the Control and the Shift key and add them to the list, or I can add all of the files from this list to here, and then likewise I can remove files the same way. What this is going to do now is it's going to add whatever reference file I want to attach to these three files. So let's say I want to attach, let's do it to this file too so we can see it work. And then this box can be expanded if you can't see all of your. So I'm going to attach the topo file to these four files, and I'm going to use the clipboarder of this topo file. And it gives you the different options under here. And these are the files that are already referenced to this. It gives you the option of what clip boundary or what clip you want to use to attach this file. So I'm just going to leave it at topo since that's what I'm attaching. And then just click Apply, and then it lets you know that it may take several minutes, and so you just click OK. And basically what it's doing is it's opening up all these files and attaching that topo file to them. So if you have something you need to attach to multiple files, you can do it all at once. You don't have to go into each file and do it. And once the processes are completed, it makes you reopen the file. And I don't know why it does this twice, but and if we go look at our references, you'll see now that the topo file is attached twice. I had it already attached once, and then now that one attached it again. Next on the reference file is Reference-Raster Cleanup utility. And this will report or detach missing reference and raster files, as well as report remove the saved path for references and raster files. So first you need to select what folder you want to process, or what folder you want to find the files in that you want to process. So again, you can change that by clicking on the Browse button and selecting the folder. And then if you just change this here and type in a new path and don't browse to it, you can do the Update File List, and that'll update your files in this list. I'm going to select some files that we want to find and see if there's any missing reference files. I'd select the files I want. Again, you can use the Shift and Control keys, or you can add all the files if you want to search all the files in your roadway directory, see if they're missing any files. You could do that as well. You have 4 different options actually. Report missing reference files. You can detach the missing reference files. You can report saved full paths, or you can remove those. So I'm just going to do the report first. And then again, it comes up and lets you know that it may take several minutes, so you just click OK. And then this little dialog will pop up. It says how many design files were processed. There were 3. It gives you the design file name and model, and lets you know what reference files showed up as missing. And then you can save the results from this to a text file and name it whatever you would like, or you can just click finish, and then that will go back to this cleanup utility. So likewise, if you were to do detach, that would just remove those missing reference files. It would not report on them. And same thing, report or remove save full path. Next are the reference file tools. And this utility allows the user to make global changes to reference settings, either in the active design file or in multiple design files. So the first thing I want to show you from this tool is the file generate reports. Basically, it runs a report. I have it set to process current design file only. You can process multiple design files in a folder, and you can include files or ignore files. But we're just going to look at the current design file. And it gives you a report. It says design files with reference file attachments. It told me all of the reference files I have in this design file, and then the ones that are missing, and then what the display is. And then it also has design files with missing reference files attachments. So it told me what files are missing in the file in the reference files. Next is under processing. If you want to do any kind of operation on a file or several files, you would need to go to this processing menu and then add a file operation. And that's going to add this O1 tab. You can add multiple tabs and do different operations. We're just going to stick with one. And then underneath that O1 tab, there's 3 different tabs: criteria, modify properties, and modify levels. Criteria is where you set the criteria for your files that you want to process. So you can process, again, all your reference files, or you can process specified reference files. And you can specify those with the logical name, the file name, the model name, and so on. We're just going to process all the reference files. And then these are the properties that you want to modify. So there's 6 different properties to update or modify. There's logical name, description, file name, model name, true scale, and then remove full path. So if we wanted to modify the logical name, we could change it to webinar. And then the next tab is the modify levels, and this allows you to turn on or off levels in a reference file. So there's 2 fields: turn levels on, so you could tell it what all levels you want to turn on, and then there's turn levels off, so you could tell it, like if you don't want the level default on, you could turn that off. And then to apply these changes to your files, you just go back up to processing and click finish and apply changes. If I go look at my reference file now, my logical name was changed to webinar. I didn't check to see if I even had the default level on, but it would now be turned off. And then if you're done or you want to remove an operation, you just go back to remove file operation, and it'll remove that tab. And then under the last 2 things is display all reference files, which will turn on all your reference file displays. And then obviously display no reference files will turn off all of the reference file displays. Next are the revision tools. There are 3 different tools under revisions. There's Place Cloud, Revision Cloud and Note, and Revision Locate. So let's go back into MicroStation and I'll demonstrate how all these work. So the first one is place cloud, and this basically just brings up the cloud by points dialog and allows you to place cloud in your design file. There is a cloud level, and I think somebody had made a comment about changing that, and I'm not sure if that's been done, but I think it will be changed, that it will be set to. The next is revision cloud and note. This again lets you place a cloud, and it gives you a little information telling you to place data points around an area to be clouded. And it's a little bit different. It's kind of hard to maneuver, but basically you just place a cloud. And then you have to reset or right click twice, and then that will pop up the revision notes. And you can choose a note from the list, or you can choose a custom to create a custom note. So that's what we'll do. We'll create a custom note, and then you'll click OK. You will type in your note or describe your note. So we're going to say and then you just click OK, and then that pops up on your cursor. And I already placed a note in here yesterday, so that's why it's popping up as 2. And then you can just click cancel, and you have your revision cloud and your note. The last thing on the revision is the revision locate. See, there's my note from yesterday. This only works with the way I place the second cloud. You can locate that in your plans, and it'll take you to that revision. And then the last menu on the design apps is the text tools. There's add columns of numbers, arrows and bar scales, edit box, and unrotate text. So let's get back into this file. And, the first is add columns of numbers. So if you had numbers in a file, you can add those numbers together. So you can do it with 2 different options. You can select text and add them together, or you can just grab a selection set and say scan, and it'll tell you 5 elements were selected. The following one was not a number, and it just adds the numbers in this dialog. So once you have the numbers that you want to add together in the dialog, you just click add list, and then it tells you the total here, and then you can place that total out in your design file. I think I have my text off. And then you can clear the list if you want to start over, and then exit to close out of that application. Next is the arrows and bar scales. And this opens this little toolbar that includes 4 icons: place north arrow, label north arrow with scale, place bar scale, and place the Terminator arrows. So place north arrow obviously places the north arrow cell, and it places at a scale of 1. And just something to note that it does place it pointing north according to the view. So if you're in like a design file, you'll need to unrotate your view and then place the north arrow. Then this allows you to place the north arrow scale. I'm not sure why it's not working, and I'll have to check that out, but it allows you to place the scale that's along the north arrow. Next is the bar scale. This places the bar scale cell, and it places it according to the scale of the file. So in this case, the plot scale is 50, so it grabbed the bar scale 50. And then place Terminator arrows is the last one on the list, and it brings up this little dialog of the different arrow Terminators that are available. So you would just select one that you want to place and click place, and then you can place it on a line or a cell or anything else. Next is edit box. This opens the text editor dialog that allows you to edit like an ASCII text file from within MicroStation. So you can go out here and open an existing text file if you had one, or if you just click cancel, you can go in here and create your own text file in the text editor. And so you can say whatever you want for your notes, and then you can go out here and save the file back out to your project. And then when you're ready for the text to go into MicroStation, you just click Import Text. It's going to ask me to save it, so I'm going to save it. And then you can place your notes out here. And there's some old tools to how this is displayed, centered or not, and I think it's based off also how my text is set up in my file. It's just a way to input notes or text in your file. I did want to note that this text file is not linked to the MicroStation file like it is with Linked Data Manager. So if you're going to use this method and you make changes to the text file, it's not going to show up in your MicroStation file. You would have to replace it. And same thing, if you make changes to the text in MicroStation, it's not going to display in your text file. And the last tool on the list is Unrotate Text, and this brings up this little dialog that allows you to rotate text back to a 0-degree angle, or any angle for that matter. If you put it in a 45-degree angle, it'll rotate it to that, or you can rotate it to the view. You just click on the text and then it rotates it back. With that, I am finished with the Design Apps menu. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My name is Christiana Holmes, and here's my contact information. I think all of the questions got answered. There was one question I saw here. Where is the curb and gutter drawing tool? That was removed and has been replaced with civil geometry tools. So just be aware of that. That used to be under the drawing menu, but that tool is gone now. So with that, I will conclude the webinar. I hope you have a wonderful week, and thank you for attending.